Hello and welcome. I got another little card today. This one has, this is a new series of cards I've wanted to start. There's just a bunch of silly cards, and in my mind, these cards are a lot like thinking of you. You're just sending a laugh to someone else, letting them know they're in your thoughts, and that you hope they're having a little bit of fun in their day. So this is my first card in the series. The stamp here is by Technique Junkies. When the stamp comes in the mail, it's all one stamp. And I did a little bit of stamp surgery. I took an X-Acto knife and I cut my stamp apart so I had three pieces. I have the piece here that's on the front. I have the piece here that's in the middle. And then I didn't use this piece on this card, but I also have the branch. So you can save that for another card or project. So let's get started. I want to show you how I made this and why I chose to do it this way. I know there are several stamp sets out there that are a bunch of trees in a circle like this. However, the opening that they provide is generally not big enough for a sentiment. And because this, is talking about a man in the forest, I really wanted to create a forest, but obviously needed it to be big enough for the sentiment to fit. And I thought, well, let's talk about ways we can create our own custom forest. Well, one of the things I did was I took these dies by Impression Obsession, and I die cut a bunch of trees, and I have a whole forest here of trees. Then I took a green ink and I sponged the edges of the trees to give them dimension. And I did all of this before, filming, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't wasting your time. Now think about this. If you wanted to do a Christmas card, you could like splatter these with white and they would be like snow. There's a lot of possibilities with this. But for this right here, we're just going to set our trees aside because we don't need those today. What we're going to do is stamp our sentiment onto a piece of very light blue cardstock. I'm doing my best to center my sentiment in the middle of my card. And because I'm going to put this card together fairly quickly, I'm using Memento to stamp my sentiment. Memento dries very quickly, so it allows me to keep moving through the steps of this card. I'm stamping it a couple times because I want it to be a nice dark black. And now this step is done. So now we can take this out and get rid of our Misty here. Just stop there and then start gluing your trees on. But I wanted to add more depth. So how can we do that? What's an easy way of adding more depth? This card is really simple. So I wanted to make sure that we were doing as much as we can to make this card as impactful as possible. With what little we're doing with it. So I'm using a different kind of blending brush. These brushes are really nice because they put a little ink down and they build the ink up slowly, so you're not putting just a ton of ink down in one fell swoop. And so I'm going to brush some ink around the edges here, creating like a vignette, which is going to make my sentiment stand out even more. It's also going to create a shadow. So when trees are all grouped together, right, it kind of gets dark and gloomy. And so this is going to be the dark and gloomy with our sentiment being in the spotlight. And I really love these brushes for putting down a soft amount of ink without, going overboard. So, all right, so let's set that aside. And now we can start placing our trees around to create a forest. And I'm going to do this. This is nothing fancy. I'm just going to glue. I'll do this part on fast forward so I'm not boring you to tears. To this point, you're going to get this really weird piece of paper here that looks kind of a bit like this. So then what I did was I took my big scissors and I trimmed along the edges of my cardstock. So once I got all the trees glued down and cut off, I just glued this to a standard card base and stamped the sentiment inside. If you want, you could add another tree on the inside. Either way, I think it looks great. I hope you guys like this idea. I thought it was a fun way to kind of create our own forest when the stamp, trees wouldn't fit our sentiment. I love this sentiment. It makes me laugh. I'm going to send this off to a girlfriend. She'll get a kick out of it. I hope you guys will give this a try and check it out. Have a good day, guys. Bye.